Pod. Pod. Quad. Pod.
Hey everybody, welcome to Squad Pod Sports, where we bring you our thoughts on the latest games and news around the sports world, brought to you by the Sideline Sports Network. This week, we have a very special guest, Sara Marshall, staff writer for Full Press Coverage Patriots, and she's looking to start her own YouTube channel doing live streams here soon. Welcome to the program. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very
for
much for
having
joining
me.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
no
so
problem at all.
excited. I had been live streaming basically the first half of the year, and I just recently, I'm sure that's how you guys saw me, is my tweet about being a free agent. So
Yes.
getting
Yep.
back into this, it's super fun and exciting. And, you know, as we were talking just before we got on here, there's actually some things to talk about finally.
Thank God.
So-
Yes.
Yeah, so it's cool to just have, you know, actual conversations where we can discuss things that are currently happening. So I'm excited. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for being here. As you said, there's a lot of news, especially, I mean, even before we hopped on, there's breaking news. So,
Right.
of course, we'll talk about the NFL news, specifically the Patriots as well, because you're a writer for the Patriots.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge Patriots fan here.
Patriots fan. We end up talking about the Patriots all the time, every week. But of course, we'll talk about NBA news. The finals are over now. We congratulated the Bucks last week at the end of our podcast.
Yep.
And then some other tidbits here and there. The bias bubble we'll probably cover throughout the podcast, especially with the Patriots. And then we'll end with the crazy sports fact of the podcast. So I mean, just kind of get into it. Kind of tell us about yourself. Like, how'd you end up being like a writer for like the Patriots and everything?
Well, I am also a Patriots fan, so that is
That's-
a big
That's
like
always
I
a
really
plus.
yeah, and it's really fun. It wasn't something that I ever planned on doing. I was kind of one of those people that never really had an idea of what I wanted to do for a career. So like right after high school, I just went straight to work. And then, you know, the pandemic hits and I'm like, okay, like what am I going to do? So I tweeted out last July or so, just like asking anyone for, you know, some advice or a direction to go into the sports media world. And I had a bunch of people reach out to me, and that's when Full Press reached out to me, and they were like, hey, we really like your tweets. Would you want to write for us? And I was like, what? My tweets?
That's
like,
awesome.
you think my tweets are good enough so that I could write? I was like, I've never considered writing. So last July is when I first started working with Full Press. So it's been a year now. I got to cover last season, which was fun, despite what people may think because of how the season went. But I'm
Yeah.
excited for this year and just seeing where it takes me. I got into the podcasting, like we mentioned. So podcasting, live streaming, all that. So I'm just trying to like expand and do more of this. I really enjoy talking about the Patriots, especially.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always great to like meet other content creators, because I mean, we recently just started last year. So I
Mhm.
mean, we're
Exactly.
also relatively like new into the game as well, and we were kind of brought on by like the Sideline Sports Network. They kind of reached out to us about kind of getting our show out there a little bit more. So that's awesome that like everybody kind of helps each other within the
Yeah.
game a little bit.
Yeah, it's good to get into that too, just like to see how supportive people can be, because like, you know, Twitter can be kind of a negative space often.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
you know, I created my Twitter originally just to talk sports. I've had a Twitter since the dawn of time, you know, like 2008. And a lot of the people that follow me, I lived in Seattle for 10 years, so they're not Boston fans. I'm like, you know what? I need to have a page where I can talk to Boston fans who actually interact with me and understand my craziness. So I made this Twitter, and that it just took off from there. I just tweet about sports every day, and people actually enjoy it. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to keep doing this.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's been fun.
That's great. So like you said, you're interested in starting like a YouTube channel. Is that like just specifically for live streams, or are you going to make like little like videos or podcasts going forward?
I mean, you know, before you start doing anything, you have ideas. You're like, I want to do this. I want to do this.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Dear Pats Nation podcast and channel, but that's where I was live streaming with Ray and Connor, who they started that channel. So I was doing that for 6 months, and we did live streams for a long time. 3 times a week I was with them. And then
Oh,
I started
nice.
streaming myself, and I just really liked the interaction of a live stream. because if you stream it through YouTube, they can comment. And so I can read comments and stuff. So that's pretty fun. So I want to keep doing that. And then I'd like to do videos because, sometimes there's not a reason to live stream. Like if something happens, it's like, okay, well, I can take 2 minutes to talk about that in a video or something. So
and just post it.
Right. So, and then, I have to balance writing too. So I'm like, I would like to be able to do it all, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean that's something that like I wouldn't mind getting into like down the line about like writing more because we're kind of the opposite where we're just making the podcast weekly and then like if there's something huge going on like a live event, that's when we'll live stream or something every now and then.
Something a little bit bigger there.
Yeah.
Right. And it's so much easier to do like a video or a live stream or something, talking is so much easier than writing. You can just express your opinion or just talk about a lot more. Yeah. And people are more apt to pay attention to a video than actually taking time to read however long an article is. So I think it's good to do both, but I love the streaming and podcasting for sure.
Yeah, and especially with videos and podcasting, you actually get to hear the person behind the thoughts, get to like you actually have the personality behind it,
Right.
Yeah. And I feel like me too, that's something I struggle with. Like I said, I created this Twitter and talking about sports and that's like all I talk about. And so sometimes I'm like, can I show my personality or like have I put myself in a box where like I have to be like a beat reporter, but like that's not my job, So this kind of helps like give like a personality to my Twitter name, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That definitely makes sense. It also helps that you're like mostly affiliated with the Patriots and everything. You're not like how we are where we're just kind of pretty much all the news across all the sports leagues.
Right.
And it's hard because whenever I first started on Twitter, I kind of go directly towards like my biased teams that I like. And I had to learn to like stop posting most of that stuff. Had to go with everything. So, I mean, it's different, but I mean, I don't know. Twitter's a weird thing. It took a while to get into, but I think I'm kind of getting the grips of it, but you seem to have it down.
I try. I mean, like I'm fortunate to be a fan and then, got that opportunity to write for them. And then that's something too, like, where you do have to kind of straddle that line between being a fan, but then also trying to be fair and objective, which a lot of people tell me that I'm not very objective. And I admit that oftentimes, if not 99% of the time, I am quite a homer. Yeah. But something that I like to do is it's not even that I do it consciously. I think that this is just how I am as a sports fan, that I'm just overly optimistic. Like, I just think that a lot of sports fans, particularly Patriots fans, if you're familiar with Patriots Twitter, are very negative and pessimistic and very just
spoiled. They're spoiled.
Yes. Oh, yes. Totally spoiled. 100%. So I like to kind of just be who I am, and I'm just optimistic, so especially when it comes to like Cam Newton, for instance. I don't know your guys' stance on Cam, but yes, I am a big supporter of Cam, and that is not a popular thing right now. So I will purposely tweet out things that are positive about him because I'm like, we need to flood the Cam Newton part of Twitter
with positivity.
Exactly. I mean, he radiates positivity. Like I want to be able to add that because Patriots fans are not known for being optimistic or even and positive at all. So that's something I try to do.
Yeah, I mean that's who we try to reach out to is just like positive content creators. Because I mean, before we've had, I don't know if you ever heard of him, like your boy Q. He does like Raiders podcast. We have had him on. He was a great guest, and Philly 500, who has a YouTube channel. We have had him on as well, and I have trouble with that sentence. But they're both really positive fans, and especially with Philly 500, where like you were saying with Patriots fans, there's a lot of negative Philadelphia Eagles fans as well. Most of the fans,
every fan base, exactly.
And it's refreshing to see like content creators that mostly look at the bright side of things. Like, this move,
you can still look at something and say, "Hi, that's bad," or "That why bad," but still, like, it's overall positive vibe.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I try to do because, like, especially since I brought up Cam, he is such a hot topic to talk about. Like, I tweeted about him just yesterday, and the tweet blew up. But I get so many negative responses simply because I support him. So like, I try to do that. Right. Yeah, and the thing is too is like I what was I gonna say? I hate when that happens. It'll come back to me. But it was something about Cam. I'm a big Cam homer. You'll probably hear that at some point tonight.
I know exactly how that is, because whenever the whole Carson Wentz situation was going on, I was a big Carson Wentz fan. I was on his side for most of the time. Like,
yeah,
he had one bad year. Come on, give him a chance. Like, let him run it back. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't understand it, and that's where like I would post stuff about it on Twitter. Then, like, you know how it is, the hate just flows through. Like, Carson Wentz trash. Like, need to move on.
Yeah,
I'm like, don't understand. He's gonna ball out on the Colts. But
that reminds me of what I was gonna say now. People think that because I might speak highly of Cam often, that I can't recognize his faults last season.
Exactly.
But I acknowledge them all the time. Like, I understand that last year was a struggle, but it wasn't just Cam, and I feel like he's gotten a lot of the blame for last year, and it's like he's one dude. Like, there are,
we talked about that numerous times.
There's other guys on the field with him. It wasn't just his fault. So I think that just makes people mad. Like, it's like if I'm not trashing him constantly, then I'm some sort of like fake fan but there's enough of that on Twitter. There's enough of that on social media anywhere else. I'm like, I just don't want to do that. I don't want to add to it.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not like you're talking bad on Mac Jones or anything or any other player. So it's like you're just supporting Cam. He's our QB1.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for Mac if that's, if he's going to be the future. Yeah, I mean, I'm a Patriots fan through and through, whether Cam's on the team or he's not, whether Brady is on the team or he's not, I'm still going to be a fan. So
I'm a fan of whoever's like QB1, like whoever's the player, that dude, that's who I'm the fan of.
And like you're saying with Jalen Hurts, like you're so hype about Jalen Hurts, but like if you had an opportunity for an Aaron Rodgers or something else, like you still gotta, but like at this moment, Jalen Hurts is the number one guy.
Exactly,
I mean?
and I'm excited to watch him. So I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, at the time, I was rooting for Wentz. I was hoping that they would keep him, build around him. But obviously that doesn't work. But I mean, like what you were saying is like I was able to say his faults, faults, see what he was doing wrong. But I was also able to see like, hey, it's not just him. There's a team behind him.
Yeah.
There's a coaching staff that don't know what they're doing. Like, there's a lot of factors into this other than just Carson Wentz playing bad.
Yeah.
On top
and
of that.
Unfortunately, Patriots fans don't give that much leniency to the Patriots. We had one losing season in 20 years, and they're acting like we were the Browns who have been
success.
Yeah, and I get it, but like I just try to look at everything as a whole. Like you said, what we've been talking about is like there were other reasons why the season went the way that it did. Yeah. And Cam was the contributing factor to some of those bad parts, but so were the receivers, or so was, whoever. So I feel like that just makes you a more well-rounded fan. Like if you can acknowledge both sides, but you don't have to like speak so badly about specific players. It's like, that's still your team. Like there was a point last year, I don't know if you guys saw, but there were Patriots fans who were literally begging for the Patriots to tank. And I'm like, how are you a fan and you're
trying to get like
tank?
Well, I forget who even was the pit, like a Trevor Lawrence or something.
And it was like, come on.
Yeah.
No, we were out of that after like 3 wins. Like
Belichick
that was not going to happen.
Never do that regardless. Like it doesn't matter. Like he's going to be out there trying to win.
As far as Cam, that says something that Belichick kept him. There's something there that Belichick saw in him. And I mean, as soon as like free agency happened, you guys went out and scooped everybody you could available to help the team. So like, you're right. I mean, it's not Cam's fault. That's the reason he's still there. And Belichick knows that.
They recognize that. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and the big thing that I've said for this year too is that, a lot of the problems that we had last year, I say we, sorry, I'm one of those people.
I do.
I think about it too.
Yeah.
Like,
so
when I'm talking to somebody and I say we at my Patriots, I'm like, it's not really me, but
well, and that's not something that bothers me. It's something that the internet gets bothered by. But anyway, the problems that the team had last year, they basically addressed all of those in free agency this year. So I have said since basically all of that happened that there's really no excuse for them to not be successful this year. Especially Cam. There's no excuse. We wanted tight ends. We got the 2 top tight ends in free agency. You wanted some receivers. They got you some great receivers. You wanted some more help on the offensive line. They got you that. So, barring injury, which fingers crossed, that's not, I don't want that to happen, but we should be better than last year.
Right.
I don't see them only winning 7 games. So I feel like people just need to be more optimistic. Like I said, that's just, my thing. Just believe that they're going to be better this year. Be excited. Like, even if they went 7 and 9, they have to do 7 and 10 now, or 8 and 9. It's still not the worst thing that could happen. I mean, come on. It's not. We're not the Browns going 0 and 16 or being bad for their entire existence.
Yeah,
okay? It was
can't rain
one
all the
season.
time. It's gonna get, the future's gonna be bright, especially if you still have Bill Belichick and everybody
Exactly.
in the organization.
Yes.
Like,
Well,
you're
and
not gonna have too many down years.
Yeah, well, there were people even coming for Belichick. This is like,
Oh
I'm
my
taking
gosh,
the
I
show
know.
off the rails. I've taken the show over.
All right.
Sorry. Like, we didn't want to get into the NFL stuff right away, but yeah. So people were talking about firing Belichick, and that was when I was like, okay, Patriots Twitter has officially gone mad.
They've lost
That
their
is
mind.
insane. If you want to get rid of Belichick, 31 other teams would be calling him immediately.
Exactly.
So be grateful, please.
The Eagles are like the opposite side if you listen to the fans and everything. That, like, that's like, if you didn't have Belichick and everybody that knows what it takes to have success, you get the Eagles.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, all right, we're gonna fire the head coach. We're gonna get rid of the starting quarterback. We're gonna listen to everybody.
Just like
Uproot it all. Every 3 years.
Every 3 years. So I mean,
know.
With that said, we'll kind of hop in and just kind of take care of the NBA stuff, get that out of the way as of right now. That way,
do gotta cover it a little bit though.
exactly. So I mean, the first thing I have here, Vern, I don't know if you saw this. The Pacers hosted Alex Antetokounmpo, Giannis's little brother.
I was gonna bring that up.
And Giannis says that he thinks he can be better than him.
That'd be some crazy, that'd be some crazy shit. The 4th Antetokounmpo brother in the NBA. Like, imagine if he would
have a championship.
Right. So this guy's destined for greatness already. But I did see the Pacers are working him out. That's pretty awesome, and I wish him the best, obviously, especially if Giannis thinks he can be better than him.
Yeah.
But
I had to Google how many of them there were. I was like, I saw the story and I was like, geez, like, how many like talented sons does this woman have?
I saw that too. I was like, how many more on?
I did the same thing. I saw, like, apparently there's 5 brothers, and this one's the youngest, so there won't be any more coming. But there's one.
Man.
But still, 4 of them, if they could all win the NBA championship, I don't think that's ever been done. I think they just said that 3 hasn't ever been done, so 4 definitely hasn't. So they could set another precedent with that.
The next bit of news I have here, both agents and teams think that there's going to be a record number of trades that are going to happen this free agency during this offseason for the NBA. It's mostly due to the poor free agent class, limited cap space, and teams needing that extra piece to go the distance.
Right.
And also, apparently, the revenue loss wasn't as bad as they were making it out to be from last year. So, I mean, they're going to have extra money as well to go out there and make some trades.
Well, you keep hearing about all these rumors that are flying around, all these different scenarios and packages. So it hasn't even started yet. So as soon as free agency opens, it's going to be wild, like the wild, wild west, pretty much. So we'll see what happens there. But I did have a couple rumors here. Apparently, the Mavs are in the running for Mike Conley, and also
I didn't see that.
Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry, who New Orleans apparently is trying to make room for right now, is to pair him up with Zion. But Kyle Lowry or at least the teams that were interested were the Lakers, which, let's see, I hope that'd be nice, Dallas, the Sixers, Miami, and that was it. And New Orleans, obviously, they're all in play there for Kyle Lowry. So that'd be interesting to see where he ends up, especially if I was gonna save this for my Lakers bias bowl, but especially if DeMar ends up signing with the Lakers and then Kyle Lowry ends up getting,
I've been seeing DeMar being linked to a couple other teams as well.
I know,
lately.
but I got wishful thinking.
I know. Like, everybody's going to the Lakers. Everybody's going to the Nets.
Gotta hope it,
There was actually a trade that was announced here, and that is Memphis finalized a trade to send Jonas Valanciunas and the 2021 number 17 and 51st picks to New Orleans for Steven Adams, Eric Bledsoe, and the picks number 10 and 40 and a protected 2022 from the Lakers.
Yeah.
And it's
somehow.
already been said that Eric Bledsoe isn't expected to stay with the Grizzlies after the trade, so he's out.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I had heard that the Celtics were possibly interested in Bledsoe. So who knows? The Celtics are interested in everybody. There's news every single day of them being interested in everyone. So
it seems like they're most interested in like point guards right now.
they're in the running for Dame. So
and
Bradley Beal, there's all these rumors too because of his friendship with Tatum. And I'm like, guys, don't get me so excited with all these names.
I know.
I would love to see Dame go to Boston, or even, I know we've talked about this before, even the Sixers or something like that, just to go somewhere where I feel like he has a shot.
Yeah, where he can
you got
thrive.
a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't it?
I did see that the Pacers turned down a trade for Kyle Kuzma from the Lakers, and it was Kyle Kuzma and a 22nd pick for a 13th, and like the Lakers are just going to get the 13th pick and pretty much just getting his salary off the books at that point. They weren't really looking for a player; they were just trying to get rid of Kuzma at that time. The Pacers were like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, Kuzma and KCP, Contavious Caldwell Pope, they've been apparently packaged up in a couple deals like already, like they're offering them out. They're saying there's a lot of interest out there for Kuzma. So apparently the Pacers ain't one of the teams that are interested in him. But
he's that star they need.
I don't see Kuzma being on the Lakers next year, regardless. So we'll see what ends up happening.
It doesn't seem like it. It looks like you guys are actively trying to. LeBron had enough. So get him off the team.
Get out of here.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with Kuzma and Ben Simmons because they're kind of the ones that like their teams are just like, we don't want you, but it's like also no one else really wants you. So
like every other day, it seems like the Sixers are like, oh, we're gonna keep Ben, and then they're like, oh nope, we're looking to trade him away, and I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
they don't know. Fixed nose.
Yeah.
If he could learn how to shoot, we've talked about Ben Simmons before. Yeah. Like, if he could learn how to shoot. That man, I feel like he could help any team get
learn
to
how to do his job as a professional basketball player.
Yeah, and
he'd be great.
The point we keep bringing up, like we're like, how can you not shoot the ball? Like it just doesn't make any sense, especially at his level. Because we were saying if you do your job as a professional basketball player, you are all-star type player. Yeah. Like because of the defense that he plays, it's just it doesn't make sense. So he better put up 1 million shots this summer.
Yeah. Out there practicing free throws too. The 2020-2021 season has not been great for Philadelphia sports, for the Stars at least, because you had Wentz and his issues. The Flyers had Carter Hart, who was an amazing goalie, just he didn't play well at all this year. And now Ben Simmons can't shoot now. So like what's going on with the Stars for Philadelphia this year? It's weird.
Well, it's like everything took off in Tampa. It's like every sport in Tampa. It's like what's going on there? Yeah.
Tom Brady moved there. That's what happened.
Tom Brady effect.
Tom Brady effect. That damn slideshow or that spreadsheet with all the God.
Yeah.
You ever see that thing where it's like every city that he's lit? It's ridiculous.
Yeah. That is crazy. Something else that's ridiculous. Team USA's out here losing in the Olympics.
I know.
They lost to France. They're not out of it yet. I think they have to win like the next 2 games straight to compete for the medals at that point.
So end up in the medal round or however they phrased it there.
And there was rumors that Team USA is tired of Popovich trying to run the San Antonio offense in the US Team USA. They don't want to really run plays, it seems. They want to just go out and ball like just the Stars. And I guess he's trying to get them to run all these different plays and everything, and they're just not having it. So I don't know.
Just let us ball. We are superstars.
Listen to Pop. I think Pop would know.
Well,
Pop would know.
I mean, you can't it's a great team. Like individually, every player is great, but like you do have to come together and collaborate. You can't just go out there and be like, I'm Kevin Durant. Like I'm gonna do what I want. And hey, I'm Jason Tatum. I love Jason Tatum, but you can't be doing that because there's a reason why teams thrive. That's why you have a team.
Why France played? They did. It's like you have a great team of players, but you don't have a great team of that actually play together.
But every team out there that is not USA is as every Olympics goes by, they have more and more NBA players on every one of these teams, because Europe is so stacked with the players that they've been sending over year after year. Yeah. So look at Luca, so it's
He's out
just
here
Well, and
dropping
Fournier
44
did
points.
great in for France.
Right.
So like
Exactly.
people were like, we want him back on the Celtics. I'm like, yeah, it was great that he did great, but he did great against us, guys. Don't
Yeah.
forget that.
Exactly. But I
that
just
was-
think it's interesting that every year it's going to get tougher. Tougher for America even because every other team is getting more and more NBA players, like caliber players on their rosters. So
Yeah. And I mean, that was the first Olympic loss since 2004 to Argentina. Was this last one here? You have any other news here, Vern? Because I do have some other stuff. I just figured we kind of bounce back.
you covered it all. I did have the key dates coming up for next year here. I'll run through some of them real quick here. August 2nd is whenever free agency officially begins.
Okay.
Well, as far as teams can start talking to free agents, and then on August 6th they can officially sign them. So that'll start rolling over. Summer League's going to be the 8th to the 17th. Training camp starts September 28th. I love how I know we're getting back to normal here. It's going to be the full 82 game season, regular start and everything. But for us, it's already July. It's almost August.
Oh, I know.
The season's going to be here like tomorrow, pretty much. So October 19th, the season actually starts.
Woohoo.
So
Nice. Back on track.
The whole way through April 10th, the season ends. Okay. 12th through the 15th of April is the little play-in tournament because that's official again.
Yeah, they just made that like fully official now.
Yep. April 16th, the playoffs start. So June 2nd is when the finals would be starting, and a game 7 would potentially be June 19th. So that's what it's looking like. Back to normal. Unfortunately,
Awesome.
I love having basketball in July, but it is what it is. Gotta go back to normal. But that's all I had.
Basketball ends and then right into football season. It seems like we're having to wait a little bit longer now again.
It is what it is.
Speaking of the summer league, you mentioned a little bit. The Hornets are gonna sign LiAngelo Ball now, and they're gonna sign him to the summer league. So that'll be 2 Ball brothers on there. Maybe they can put the money down, try to get the third one, get Lonzo over there. Maybe who knows?
Maybe they could ball out.
I still have a Lakers Lonzo Ball jersey somewhere.
Somewhere.
It's not that important to me. So I have no idea where.
Unless he comes back.
I can find it. But
I only have 2 bits of news left here. The Pelicans announced Willie Green as the head coach officially. And then the Warriors are dead set on trying to get Bradley Beal.
Oh, okay.
Rude. Very rude.
Rude for Boston fans. But the Warriors, we've talked about them the past couple weeks. It seems like they're destined they're trying to get another all-star caliber player to pair, the other all-stars they have on the team.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Beal too, because he's a free agent next year. So, I mean, for the most part, like you'd want to get him now, of course, because he's a star player, but you could probably get him a heck of a lot cheaper next year. So
we talked about it before. Next year's free agent class is amazing. There's so many superstars that are going to be free agents next year. So I honestly can't wait to see what happens because who knows, all these different stars could be going different places. I did lie. There's one more thing. Apparently, Kawhi is expected to re-sign with the Clippers this offseason.
Okay. Good.
I mean, I don't really care about the Clippers, but I would just be like, how crazy is it if you went to another team? Like in 3 years, you would be on 3 teams, and it's like you're a superstar player. Like that's insane.
Right.
So at least he looks a little loyal, like a little like good for him.
Around
I guess.
just long enough.
Yeah. At least one more year. We'll see.
But that's all the NBA news that I have here. We can kind of just roll right on into all the NFL news. As of today, training camp has officially started for every single team.
Thank God.
Tomorrow, most teams are actually going to be practicing for the first time in pads and everything.
Right.
Today was just kind of getting them in, getting the playbooks, learning the ropes and everything. I'm guessing
Welcome back
from OTAs, you know. So I mean, it's officially football season at this point. To me.
Shit. I'm loving it. And like you said, teams start practicing tomorrow for the most part. I know the Patriots have their first practice Wednesday morning. Whenever this airs, it'll be yesterday. But still, I'm so happy. I can't wait to see just pictures of them out of just everything that comes with training camp now.
Yeah.
Like, every little tidbit of information. I just can't wait to hang on. So
that's what I was excited about today. Cause I mean, today it seemed like they just did like the promo shoots for like, you know, like the Sunday Night Football and Monday night, like all those kind of things and the pictures they put on websites. So they were just posting like all these like different players like Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith in full Eagles gear, and it's like, oh man, it looks so nice. Whereas
Mhm.
you're excited just to see these new players in uniform and everything,
Right.
Mhm.
every
Well,
little bit of news or every little thing.
I
is
feel
good.
like this year went by so much quicker too, like
Yeah.
for everything that we've had to deal with. Like usually for me, the off season is the worst part of the year, even though it's like the longest part of the year. But this one just went by so much faster for me. I'm like, I can't believe it's August. We're almost at preseason. Like, I'm excited that we don't have to wait that long.
Yeah.
And it's almost the regular season already. And then I get sad because then every week it's like, oh, we have 1 week down. Now,
Yeah.
like, I just love football so much.
I
so-
think
Well, I mean-
about the feeling that I get like Sunday
Yeah.
morning, like 10, 11, where I'm just like that excitement where you're just like, ooh, like you're checking fantasy football shit or like, just like maybe placing a better two here. Like
Yeah.
that's what gets me through the off season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That like chasing that dragon there, that feeling of that Sunday morning before 1 o'clock games. Like, oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think-
I'm in Phoenix, so I get games at 10 a.m. So I'm like, I
Oh,
wake
wow.
up, I eat, and then it's like football all day.
See, that's nice.
Yeah,
That's
no,
awesome.
that's the one perk I would say about living on the West Coast time is waking up and having football. And then
Yeah.
also not needing to be up until like 11 or midnight to just watch the end of
To
a
watch the
Sunday or
late
Monday night
game,
game.
yeah.
Yeah, like
Right.
it's over at 8, 9 o'clock here. So it's like,
That is
cool,
nice.
okay.
I gotta
Yeah.
work Monday morning. I'm up at
Yeah.
1 in the morning watching the Patriots play Sunday night for how many years now? Like you know,
Yeah.
maybe not as often nowadays, but you know
Yeah.
how it is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I think the off season felt so fast. I mean, not just Patriots, but I mean, there was so much drama as far
Yeah.
as the NFL, like Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson at that point, Deshaun Watson, all these, and then you had Stafford got traded, Goff got traded. There's so much drama, and as far as like your Patriots, this was a real different off season for you because like you didn't know what was gonna happen. Like it's a kind of a rebuild, a retool in a way. So
But
I mean,
retool. I like the word
Yeah.
retool better.
yeah, not rebuild, retool.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a lot different than what you're normally seeing, where you're expecting the same team to come back pretty much every year for the Patriots.
Yeah, and I feel like it kind of, for me anyway, like I think a lot of people were a little bit nervous, and of course there were so many positions that needed to be filled, particularly quarterback. But I think once they signed Cam in March, like before the draft, I felt like that kind of set the tone. So you kind of knew, like, okay, you knew what direction they were going to be going in. And then once free agency hit, as a Patriots fan, you're just like, okay, what are we gonna do? They're not gonna spend anything. Like Belichick
Right.
doesn't do that. And then I'm like, you're sitting there and you're just like checking your Twitter, and it's just like pickup after pickup after pickup. Like I remember,
all in one day too.
yeah,
it was crazy.
I mean, I remember when they picked up Henry. Like I thought it was a joke. I was like, there's no way this is legit, because I'm 3 hours behind you. So I wake up and I saw the news and it had already been up for like an hour or two. And I was like, this has to be a joke. Like there's no way that they got Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. Like then it just kept going. They got some really great
signed
players.
Nelson
So,
Aguilar, signed a couple
Yeah.
other players.
yeah, a lot of people to be excited about, I think.
Yeah, that's an exciting offseason for the
Yeah.
Patriots so far.
Yeah. And I feel like we needed it for
Oh yeah,
know,
absolutely.
Brady leaving hit everyone pretty hard for the most part. And then, of course, a lot of people were mostly disappointed last year with the season. So I think like we needed to have like a really great free agency. And the fact that they killed it just made it even better.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
So am I. And too, like, if you follow the guys like on Twitter and Instagram, just seeing how excited they are. You know, like we've been pushed so far to believe that no one wants to play for the Patriots. No one wants to play there, especially now that Brady's gone. No one wants to play for Belichick. It's not fun. And I'm like, Kendrick Bourne, like the second that we found out he was there, was like celebrating, wearing Boston stuff already. Like he's posting everywhere, like fangirling about being a Patriot.
I
And
see he's already trying to get Chandler Jones.
yeah, and we love
Yeah.
it, right? And so, the fact that they're all so excited. Hunter Henry had nothing but great things to say. Jalen Mills.
I was gonna say
Jalen
Jalen Mills out here,
Mills.
coach, saying
Thank
that
you.
he loves like playing for Bill Belichick. Like
Yeah.
it's exciting to like talk with him. And I was like, oh, at least kept his hair green. He
Yes,
I
still
know.
got a little part of
Going to-
Philly in him.
Yeah,
We
he said he's
talked
going to
about
keep
that.
it too. He said it's like his thing now. So I
Yeah.
was like, well, at least that'll be good for all the fans from Philly that love him still.
I have no hard feelings. I understand. I mean, I don't know what his contract is. I'm sure he got like a little bit more. But I mean, he gets to play under one of the best coaches ever to ever do
Yeah.
it. So I mean, I don't blame him for wanting to go do that. So I mean,
Yeah.
best of luck to him. I'm
Yeah.
gonna miss Jalen Mills though.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm just excited just overall. I mean, I'd be excited even if we didn't pick up any of these guys. Honestly, I would just be excited. Like,
yeah.
even if we were destined to be an 0-17 team, I'd be acting like we were going to be undefeated. So I'm just one of those people. But yeah, I just feel like there's so much to be excited for. And, fans being back in the stadiums is exciting too. Like, I wish I could go to a game, but here we are. So.
Like I think that's going to be one of the most exciting aspects is actually watching the game and hearing the crowd, even like just the quick camera cuts where it shows just the crowd. If you're not going to be seeing cardboard cutouts or anything, it's going to be awesome.
And I think that's cool too for Cam. Like, there's a lot of and Cam, because he, for the Patriots, but any player that maybe was a rookie last year or is on a new team, like they haven't experienced that home crowd yet. So that's going to be a totally different thing for them. And for Cam, like being the quarterback, like that's going to be huge. So, plus, let's see if he carries on with giving the football to kids in his jersey. Like, I would love that. I would love if he brought back the dab. I know he retired it, but I'm like, please bring something back. Like, I need that type of
still gotta go over to
Superman.
2015 Cam energy. I'm all for it.
Yes.
So I'm excited.
Exactly.
Awesome.
That's why
I'm
this was one
excited.
of the first, like whenever they released the new ones, like the new style here, I remember I was like, let me get a Cam jersey, Cam first, and then I'm pretty sure I got the McCourty after, but I love this. Like, even like, and I remember telling him, I was like, I'm gonna get a Mac Jones jersey here soon, but it's still, this is my quarterback. He's QB1. QB1.
I need to get one too. I was gonna get one last year, but long story short, we have like pretty bad luck in my family with purchasing jerseys. Like, anytime my mom has gotten me a jersey, that player either was traded or like left, just retired. So like the last one she tried to get me, it was a handful of years ago. She was going to get me a Jimmy Garoppolo jersey for my birthday. Traded on my birthday.
Oh my gosh.
You can't give me jerseys anymore. So now I'm like, I'm superstitious when it comes to football in general. So now it's like, okay, I can't get a Cam jersey because like, what if I get it and he gets injured or he gets traded or like something happens? So I haven't bought a jersey in a few years now because I'm like, I'm too scared. I'm too scared to put that in.
That's how I am. Because I mean, I have a ton of jerseys now, and I think only 2 of them are active players on the Eagles. So I mean, it's like I don't even know who to buy next at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, because for the Patriots fans, like I have basically Gronk and Brady jerseys. And so I'm like, okay, now what do I do? Like, I'm thankful that I have them and that like the memories, but like, I'm not going to go to a Patriots game wearing one of these, like I need someone current.
Exactly. That's why I usually, unless something happened, like I think I put up Brady's jersey during the Super Bowl week or something like that. But other than that,
wore it for the live stream for the Super Bowl.
Because I was like, go Brady. But other than that, they're retired in my mind. Like until they're actually retired.
Yeah.
Then I'll wear it again. But he's a fucking Tampa Bay Buccaneer right now. No.
We're a Tom Brady fan only when it matters, and that's during the Super Bowl against the hated Chiefs. It's the only time. Other than that, we don't care. We don't care.
I told my son the other day because like he was watching the old Rams Chiefs game from like 2018 on YouTube. They have like the whole game up there. He was watching it and he's like, I know the outcome. He didn't. And that was the one like 50 something to 40. But he was like, who do you want to win? And I'm like, I want the Rams to win. And he's like, oh, you hate the Chiefs now? And I'm like, well, you didn't always hate the Chiefs. What about Pat Mahomes? I'm like, Pat Mahomes didn't used to beat us. He used to be a problem for everybody else. But even in that game that we were watching, the 2018 one, the Chiefs are 9-1 in that game, and that one loss is the Patriots. So like, I was telling him, I'm like, they didn't used to beat us. Like, I remember obviously that opening night game where they whooped their ass after the Super Bowl, but usually Pat Mahomes wasn't a problem. But then now Pat Mahomes is a problem. So
yeah,
exactly. I feel you.
We'll kind of roll into some news here. The first huge bit of news from last week, Fred Warner of the 49ers signed a 5-year, $95 million contract. He's the highest paid inside linebacker in the NFL now.
Okay.
That's pretty nice. I'll take some money if you'd like to donate.
That's great.
We got some extra.
Some news about your division rivals, the Jets. There's some interesting news going on here. Zach Wilson apparently doesn't have a deal done as of right now, and he hasn't reported to training camp so far.
They're trying to figure it out. Apparently, they had the same types of issues with Sam Darnold, whatever they were trying to negotiate with him.
This just shows you like the difference
New York
between
sucks. That's what it is.
the bad teams in the NFL. Like they can't get this done. And speaking of quarterback, there's a bit of rumors. Apparently, the Jets have made calls to the Chicago Bears about getting Nick Foles.
That would be the option. That would be the
that is a
option.
total Jets move.
Go ahead.
Jets will Jets.
Yeah, Jets will Jets. Give us
And I'm
that.
a little surprised only because I feel like, I mean, from the top to the bottom, basically the Jets have been a mess for a while, but they have a new coach this year.
Right.
So you would think that maybe he would have a little bit better ideas, or I don't know, like he's more of a player's guy because he was a defensive coach. But yeah, the Zach Wilson stuff I thought was a little weird. I was like, guys, like you drafted him like second overall, like get this done. This is supposed to be
guys you sign.
Yeah, so I wonder what the holdup exactly is. I think they said something about like terminology and whatever in the contract, like or something about it. I forget who else. They said someone else had issues too, other than Darnold. It was another team, but I'm like, you guys need to get this done. This is supposed to be your future. Like, it's not a good look that he's not even at training camp now.
Yeah,
like,
on that first day.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then
he should have been
tomorrow,
reported.
and he might not even be there.
Yeah, that's not a good look at all.
No, especially like a rookie that's gonna have to come in, learn the new system and everything. Like he's already gonna be behind.
You're giving him less time to prepare.
And with a new coach, I feel like it doesn't look too good on him either, that he can't get it done. So
Bill Belichick's licking his chops.
Yeah, like, we don't care.
Rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
Unprepared rookie quarter. Oh.
He's gonna see ghosts.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Free agent linebacker Michael Kendricks, ex-Eagle and Seahawk, was sentenced the other day to a 1-day sentence in jail, 3 years of probation and 300 hours of community service for his 2018 guilty plea on insider trading charges. Kendricks is free to resume his NFL career immediately, and he wants to continue playing.
I didn't even see that. Interesting.
Yeah.
Served 1 day.
He's going 1 day in jail, and then you're going to have to do your community service, pay a bunch of fines, and you can go back playing NFL if somebody wants to take you.
I would assume that it's not going to be necessarily a deterrent because, like, I mean, it's nothing like violent or anything like super bad, but
everything.
Yeah, but it just depends on like if people want that type of press, because that's always going to be connected to him now, and just how good he is.
He was playing on the Seahawks whenever the news came out, and I think he continued to play on him. Then they released him after the season.
Yeah.
But I mean, he hasn't been that great since. I mean, probably since he was on the Eagles, but
yeah, it's been a while. So
a lot of big news that happened because I'm sure you saw Twitter was in an uproar the other day. The NFL and the NFLPA came out and pretty much said, like, you're going to get fined if you don't get vaccinated. If they catch you breaking any of the mandates, it's like a $14,000 fine instantly. Mm-hmm. And that all players on both teams wouldn't be paid and canceled, and games will be canceled if there's an outbreak, and they're not going to have a week 19.
It'll be marked as a loss.
It's going to be marked as a loss. The teams themselves are going to have to pay all the costs that would have been for the games. I think they said it's like 7 million or 8 million or something.
Oh my God.
On top of that, then the players aren't going to get paid. So I mean,
and I think they said the rules were really similar to that last year, but I think that people weren't really paying attention. But also, like, there were so many players that came out and they were mad about it, mostly about oh my gosh, my cat will not. She just is like, hey guys. They were really mad about mostly the vaccination part, it seemed like. But I think that they need to remember that no games were canceled last year. Like, they were rescheduled until maybe Wednesday, which isn't ideal. But, hopefully things will get better this year. So, the vaccination part is one thing. But as far as worrying about canceled games, I wouldn't be too worried about it. But I do think it's fair, to have whatever team that might have an outbreak or something to forfeit it, because there were times last year where it's like you feel bad that the team, oh my goodness, that the team that didn't have the outbreak, you know, that their games would be pushed until Wednesday, and then it's like, oh, okay, now your Sunday game is going to be moved to Monday to accommodate your Wednesday game, and it's like, just forfeit it. Like, it's just kind of ridiculous at this point. So
and on top of them saying that they're not going to add a 19th week, they also said in the memo that vaccinated individuals who test positive and are asymptomatic can return to duty after 2 negative tests over a 24-hour period.
Yeah.
So, I mean, instead of like last year where you're having a player sit out for at least 14 days, they could be back in 24 hours. So, I mean, it's not as serious as it was last year if you're vaccinated, you know. And I mean, that's where a lot of like the players are having issues. I know DeAndre Hopkins was out here saying that like he was questioning his future in the NFL, and then he quickly deleted the tweet afterwards.
Because he got burned real bad.
Yeah, but a lot of players are saying that like they feel like they don't have a choice, that they're making the players get the vaccine. And I mean,
technically they can.
They can, but they're not, because you still have the option. You're just going to have to go through all the rigorous protocols that you did last year.
Yeah, and they're not happy about that. But it's like, you have to make a choice. I mean, it's your job. You know, like people were saying, it's a privilege to play in the NFL.
Yeah, so exactly. NFL could tell you have to be vaccinated.
Yeah,
I mean, it could be worse.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just, you know, people have their opinions on the vaccine, and that's all fine and dandy. But we're never going to get out of this if we don't take it seriously. And if you want to get paid in the NFL, then it's probably better for you to get vaccinated so you can resume everything normally.
Yeah, and then it said the unvaccinated individuals will be subject to a mandatory 10-day isolation. So, I mean, that's at least 10 days if you're unvaccinated and you test positive.
Compared to 24 hours and 2 negative tests if you have it.
And I mean, there's been a couple teams like the Vikings and the Patriots, for example, that have actually let some coaches go because they refused to get vaccinated. So it seems like teams are really like buckling down this season.
That was going to be a bit of news that was a part of this, was the Vikings assistant coach, Rick Dennison. He actually was going to quit. The report was saying that he was out. He's not coming back. And then I think it was today or yesterday, a report came out saying that they've worked it out with him. Okay. He's going to actually come back and he's going to be working with them. So I don't know if they convinced him to get the vax, or if they're just like, all right, you can probably maybe do your job remotely or like from an isolated area or something. But I mean,
the Patriots got rid of a coach. I know that Belichick confirmed that as well today. I don't think he didn't put into detail necessarily about why, but I think we all already know because it was already put out there. Right. So it seems like teams are trying to take it seriously because they understand the impact that having these coaches not be able to participate in practices and whatnot, meetings, is going to be a big deal. I mean, last year they had to do everything virtually, and we know that's not ideal at all. They need to be able to see each other. So we'll see.
And nobody wants to be that dude if you're unvaccinated or whatever, and you're in the facility sitting by yourself at the lunch table. You can't hang out with everybody. You got to work out by yourself. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. And I mean, it seems like, I forget the statistic. I think they said like most teams are above 60% or something vaccinated.
Like 85%.
85% now.
Yeah. I saw Ron Rivera was talking about it today. I don't know if you saw that, but Washington is one of the teams under 60%. So, I mean, because of his situation, I mean, he had cancer last season, for anyone who forgot. It's huge for him to have these protocols in place, because I mean, his health and his life are at risk potentially. So hopefully they figure it out, because I mean, that would really be unfortunate if he couldn't coach, or you know, something doesn't improve for them. Where he
was out there getting treatments like during the games, like during halftime and stuff.
Like, it was cool to see that he's fine now. Like, I mean, you know, I've never been a fan of necessarily a team that he's coached, but obviously as a human, you don't want to see someone be sick. So it's awesome that he's able to continue coaching, and hopefully he'll be able to do that normally and safely this year.
Yeah. And they're saying that he was saying he was beyond frustrated with the team. And like what you're saying with his cancer and everything, he's immune deficient. So, I mean, pretty much any little thing could get him sick. So, I mean, the last thing he needs is to have the team be below the vaccination.
And to have that stress, like
on top of that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's stressful to be around people that you're not sure, like, who they're interacting with, if they're vaccinated or if they're not, like, just to have that constant worry or fear of possibly getting sick, like, that's going to be distracting and, like, scary.
You're trying to focus on winning football games.
Yeah, exactly.
But in other news, former Seahawks linebacker Shaquem Griffin visited the Dolphins the other day. I haven't seen anything about an actual signing, but I did see that he met with them.
His brother's a Jaguar now, right? Did he sign with the Jags?
I believe so, yes. And I mean, speaking of the Dolphins, your other division rival, their top cornerback, not even their top corner, the top cornerback in the league, pretty much, is Xavier Howard. He formerly requested a trade as of this evening.
Put out this long statement. Did you read all that? I was like, wow.
Saying that he's like he feels disrespected within the organization, and like he felt uncomfortable signing the extension he did a couple years ago with them.
It's crazy how, like, some of these statements, like N'Keal Harry's statement, or at least from his agent a couple weeks ago, like, they're being a lot more brutally honest, which, I mean, good for them, I guess. But then at the same time, it's like, they don't have to trade you. Like, you can request a trade, but, like, they don't have to do it. So it's like you kind of have to figure out where you go from here, because you can put out this statement and be honest and whatever, but like you might still have to go to work and deal with the people that you're asking.
Report the camp.
Yeah,
like both of them did.
I mean, he said in his statement, Howard did, that like he quoted Marshawn Lynch saying, "I'm just here so I won't get fined."
Right.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if he'll continue to go to camp or not. Like I don't know if he has to actually participate or if he just needs to attend, but that's a huge
like a
name.
Jalen Ramsey situation where his back kind of hurts.
I was gonna say about Jalen Ramsey. You were saying about like they don't have a choice. I thought it was hilarious. Like during this off season, where like the Julio and everything, it seemed like all these big names that were probably trying to get traded. You would see like Jalen Ramsey or all these other players like on Twitter, like come to wherever. It's like they don't have a choice. It's not up to them. Like your recruiting does nothing.
If they have the no trade clause, they're a little bit more in control, but I don't know how common that is among especially younger players. I mean, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with him.
We mostly see that with like bees or something, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, like, I always tweet these kinds of things when like a big name comes out. I always like quote tweet it and do like the eyes emoji, and people always think that I'm like, oh, the Patriots are going to get him. I'm like, no, like, I don't think that, but it'd be
like,
fun.
oh, look at this.
Yeah. I mean, it's also fun, like, just to, the idea of it, like the Belichick walking meme, like just pretending like Belichick's gonna go get him. Yeah, the Stone Cold music.
Yeah, too. That's what in my head. I just pictured like glass breaking and Belichick walking.
Exactly. So I mean, in this case too, like I don't know that the Dolphins would trade such a big name player to a division rival, but we can pretend like we can be happy about it or hopeful for a day.
Yeah, I mean, Xavier Howard, he has 18 interceptions since 2018, and that leads the NFL. And already a kind of a trade proposal that's already been out there, because there's another star that wants out of their team, and that's Chandler Jones from the Cardinals. And I mean, he was supposed to be with J.J. Watt going there. It was supposed to be both of them, stacked defense. Now all of a sudden Chandler Jones wants out.
He's out.
Used to say trade Chandler Jones to the Dolphins for Xavier Howard. And maybe a pick or cut something, two very good players. I mean, obviously Chandler Jones is a little older, but
I did see this though about Chandler Jones today. Since 2012, he leads the league in sacks at 97. Since 2012, like so.
Lead league in sacks. Lead league in interceptions.
He is getting a little bit older, but still, he would be able to be productive on the team. I feel absolutely would be able to be productive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I was surprised that he wanted to trade. It's funny because you saying JJ, I totally forgot about JJ going to the Cardinals. Like, I totally forgot about that. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised just because, I mean, he's been quite successful since he's been in Arizona.
Yeah.
As I've said before, he's kind of under the radar type of guy. Like a lot of people focus on, of course, the top names, JJ, Aaron Donald, etc. But he was doing well, so I don't know what's going on there or why he wants a trade, but that was another one that I quoted. And,
stuff.
Well, And I was, I quoted that tweet and did the eyes because I'm like, hey, because I was super bummed when they traded him.
Me
the Patriots
too.
did, or cut him,
Wyatt
yeah.
knows. Wyatt
Yeah.
knows. I was
Yeah.
like, they got rid of Chandler Jones. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's a beast. Like,
Yeah, and it was over something like weed or something silly. Like, it was just like, come on, guys, he's so good on the field. And then look what he's done since he's been in Arizona. I'm like, that could have been on the Patriots, Belichick, sir. So,
In other news, Texans released wide receiver Dante Moncrief today. So it's a non-football injury designation. Vikings DT Jalen Tweeman. He was the player that was shot 4 times this summer.
Yeah.
They released him and he cleared waivers. And he reverted to the reserve NFI list. And Washington waived tight end Dion Yelder today as well. Lamar Jackson came out and said once he wins a Super Bowl, he's switching his number to number 1.
I saw this. That's awesome. He's like, I want to have 2 jerseys retired. Like, and I'm thinking to myself, that's awesome. But I don't know if 1 Super Bowl and number 8 and then 1 Super Bowl and number 1 will get
It's
both
gonna
jerseys.
get you retired.
Yeah, like you could try, but I think you should try.
Maybe.
Like Kobe had to win 5 chips to get 2. Like it is what it is. But it's very, very wishful thinking. I did like the idea of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did too.
and I like Lamar Jackson. Like, I think a lot of people don't necessarily
Yeah.
because he's very outspoken, but I'm like, dude, I think sometimes it's not that bad. Like sometimes it annoys me. I think it depends on the person, but I don't think he means any harm. He's
Right.
just like a confident guy and he deserves to be. Like,
Yeah.
he's
I
young.
think he's exactly what the NFL needs is like a starting quarterback, like a leader,
Yeah, well, the faces of the NFL are changing. So
Yeah.
like we're getting into an era, I think, where like we were just saying, where people are being more honest. Like NFL players are speaking out more on all sorts of topics and whatnot. So him coming out and being like this, I'm like, this is just the era. It's like this is his age. This is just what
Yeah.
they do. We just need
And
to
like what you're
embrace
saying,
it.
and it seems like the players have more of a say in their futures now than they did before.
Yeah, trying to
think
take
he
over
said it
power.
in a podcast too. Like he was
Yeah.
just doing like a podcast and he
Yeah.
was just kind of candidly talking. Like, and that's like to your point there. It's awesome to see more players doing that, being more personal.
Yeah.
Being able
I
to
mean,
see that.
and like and that's something that people have talked about with Brady because he was very like suit and tie basically when he was with
Mhm.
New England, and now he's going crazy in Tampa.
I know he's
I
Tampa.
talked
Tom.
about it a couple
It's-
podcasts already. I
Yeah.
like Tampa Tom. I didn't like New England Tom, but I like Tampa Tom.
I've been trying for like 17 years, however long I've known Wyatt, to get him to like Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Not
I-
until he
he
went
just-
to Tampa.
Fuck
Yeah.
Tom, really.
Turned
throwing
into a fun
Lombardis
guy.
and
Yeah.
Always throwing him like we brought that up too. Like that used to be his baby. Now he's just like just
well,
throwing.
and
Roasting
it's funny
people on
'cause
Twitter and stuff. He's
Yeah.
very like, I don't know, man.
Well,
he's
and I
a
feel
different
like-
person.
you saw it a little bit when he was on the Patriots after he won his Super Bowl. Like one of the things that stands out in my mind and will forever be one of my favorite videos I've ever seen was, I don't know if it was after 49 or 51, but they had the Super Bowl after party and Brady, you can tell, is just wasted and he's standing like in the middle of the dance floor just like dancing to rap music, and I'm just like, this is not the Brady
There was like a
that-
meme of it for a while, like years
Yeah.
ago. I remember. Yeah.
and like that is just like something that you kind of got to see, but now you're seeing it like all the time. But
Yeah.
that was just in New England, that was reserved for like, oh, we just won the Super Bowl, I can get drunk now because we're whatever. And I'm like, no, Brady, we want to see this too. We want to see this
Right.
side.
It was like mostly business.
Did you
And
watch
now
the
it's like
Time-
all party
Tom
Brady.
versus Time thing right
I
before
have-
we lost to the Eagles?
I haven't seen it yet. No, I know
It-
it's bad, but I haven't.
I honestly don't remember if I watched a lot because he released them up into
Yeah.
the Super Bowl and then released one episode after the Super Bowl, and I don't think I ever watched that one, to be honest with you. But like it was all the 4 of them before the Super Bowl are awesome because you're with him. Like he's
Yeah.
got cameras in his house where he's watching film, and it's awesome to see that side of Tom Brady.
Was
just
that first Super Bowl 52? Was that 52?
2017. Yes.
Yeah, 52.
Okay,
Yeah.
so 52, unfortunately, is not one that I've only watched the first half of 52 because it was paining me so so hard. I was like, this sucks, and I hated the Eagles so bad. I was like, I hate them, and so the first half, I was like, this is going so bad, I can't do it. I'm having heart palpitations. Like, I can't do this. So I refused to watch the second half. I was up in my room just listening to what was going on downstairs to just know what was going on, like, based off their reactions. And I was like, nope, I'm not gonna watch this. So like anything related to like Super Bowl 52, I've probably not seen it because like
because of Super Bowl 51, I had hope the whole time. I'm like, and I watched it with him. Me and him were in person. Eagles Patriots fan, just like, and so it was terrible for me, you know. But it was great. Like, I still enjoyed it. I still liked it because we've been waiting for so long for a Patriots Eagles Super Bowl. You know?
I know I should be better and watch it, but I'm just like, no.
I haven't watched
no
it.
reason to now.
No.
No, I can watch 53. Well, that's the last one.
Exactly. Go back and watch us whoop up on the Rams. Only allow a couple points. What, 3 points?
Speaking of great QBs, though, Chiefs QB Patrick Mahomes, already part owner of the Kansas City Royals, has now become a part owner of Sporting KC and Major League Soccer. So now he's a part owner of 2 professional sports teams already.
Just making sure he has enough money for when he retires, you know, because that NFL contract of like 400 something million or whatever, it's like, it's whatever, you know, like it's that will keep him okay for like a year. Just planning for a retirement, you know.
Oh man.
Talked about Jimmy Garoppolo a little bit before. News came out today. Kyle Shanahan said that there's no QB competition within the team. Jimmy G is the number 1 QB and Trey Lance is the number 2.
For now.
For now. To me.
For now. Until next year when his no trade clause is gone, and then they're like, all right, Jimmy, you're out of here.
Yeah, and then Belichick's all in on Jimmy again.
Of course.
Possibly. Who knows?
Like, what about that Jones?
Yeah, I know, right?
I
was kind of like okay with the possibility of him coming to the Patriots this offseason just because I liked Jimmy and I refer to him as the Italian stallion. So like I wouldn't be mad to like look at him again. But like, yeah, you know, I think it's the right choice for right now, but we'll have to see because I mean he's only played 1 season of 16 games. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's one that's like the quarterback to start, but doesn't last the whole season.
And that was my point back whenever the whole was Jimmy G coming back to New England thing was happening before the draft is he's never been healthy. Like I don't see why it would make any sense for us to bring him back other than the fact that he's been here before. Like that's the only
Belichick
thing.
Was in love with him.
Exactly. Belichick and McDaniels are in love with him.
Yeah.
But it just didn't make any sense otherwise. And I'm glad we didn't end up pulling the trigger on that.
Yeah. And his contract made no sense either.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no thank you.
Yeah.
Now we'll kind of talk about the big Packers news.
Yep.
They released Blake Bortles today.
What? That's not the Packers news. I thought.
No, but in all seriousness, part 1 so far of the Aaron Rodgers saga has come to a close. He has returned to training camp. He went to training camp.
Now
he's there.
Dance.
Yeah, now we have the last dance, or they're calling it the last chance now. And apparently, not only is he back, but they're trading to bring Randall Cobb back to Green Bay. Yes, the Packers are indeed working on a trade with the Texans to get Randall Cobb back, and that is like official as of right now. Like it seems like they're bringing Randall Cobb back, and that apparently is one of Aaron Rodgers' stipulations is he wanted Randall Cobb back.
He's like, I'll
so
come back.
That was something he must have been really mad about since they traded him. Because, like, I mean, he's older now. Like, he's not been, like, super amazing since he's not been in Green Bay. And then he's like, I'm going to hold out. I'm not going to play. I might play or I might go into retirement. Maybe I'll host Jeopardy. But if you bring back Randall Cobb, I'll come back. Like, what?
He's got to be real good buddies.
I don't think it was just that.
No, I know. But, like,
it wasn't the money.
It just looks kind of funny.
But it seems like because there's been talking about the leaks that have been going on with the GMs and talking with him, it seems like they're going to have a very Tom Brady way of dealing with this. Apparently after this season that he's going to play with the Packers, they're going to have open discussions with him. If he's still not happy with what they're going with, they can trade him or else forfeit his contract, I guess. I think that we're going to have to trade him, but if he plays the next year, if he doesn't get traded, then he'll have free reign to go wherever he wants. It'll void the last year of his deal that he has.
Okay.
So he's not happy after this year. They can trade him. If he plays another year after that, he can decide
can
where
do
he
whatever he
wants.
wants.
Yeah.
And how old will he be in 2 years then?
39. I think he's
39.
37 right now.
Okay.
I think.
But yeah, so I mean, it seems they kind of both got what they wanted. The Packers get to keep Aaron Rodgers for who knows 1, maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, if he's not happy, he gets to get out of Green Bay. It seems like both parties are kind of reached a compromise at this point.
For now.
So
Yeah.
for now,
It's at least for 2021 season.
until they start losing games or something, and then you know how it goes.
Yeah.
I expect them to be great, the same as they were last year.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm saying if it does happen, they go on like a stretch of like losing games. You know how the media is. They're gonna, Aaron Rodgers unhappy.
Not even just that. Rodgers will come out and throw his team under the bus. Like that's what he does. Like he'll let you know that he's mad. So
he's like, I try to throw the ball, they don't catch it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't have any receivers, and it's like, oh, okay, this is awkward, but whatever.
And apparently, since Rodgers is back, Devontae Adams is now willing to listen to contract discussions from the Packers. So I mean, have we talked about that? I think last week or the week before about Devontae was just kind of wait and see what Rodgers was going to do.
Yeah.
Well, and it makes you wonder too. Like, I mean, is it all hinging just on Rodgers, or like, what are you going to do if Rodgers decides he wants to leave or retires? Like, are you still going to want to be on the Packers? Or are you only on the Packers because 1, they drafted you, and 2, because Rodgers is there?
We talked about it a little bit last week. I think it's because of Aaron Rodgers. He wants to stay. We talked about it last week. He has a lot of interest in going to the Raiders because he used to play with Derek Carr. He's apparently really good friends with Derek Carr.
Even like she was saying though, if he signs an extension, how long is this extension? Because if Aaron Rodgers leaves after next year, then he's stuck. You sign a 4-year extension or something like that.
Yeah.
So
you're stuck. And they're not going to just sign you to a 1-year extension or something. I'm sure.
Yeah, well, and then maybe it depends on how they feel about Jordan Love, too. Like, if you don't think that he's going to be a good guy for you to be there, then, I mean, he would have so many options. Like, if he were able to choose, I mean, he's one of the top receivers in the league. So it's like, I wouldn't be too worried, but it'll be interesting to see.
Well, I guess on the Packers side, if they let it go now, he could just leave. Whereas if they sign him an extension and if he's not happy if Aaron leaves, they can actually trade him and get what he's worth, get some picks, get maybe a player or something. So I guess it would work out in a way if they were able to get him an extension, if he requested a trade. Because I mean, like we talked about before, it seems like players now can kind of dictate where they want to go. If they're not happy, they're going to let people know. Like, I'm not happy.
He'll just need to get that no trade clause in there, though, so he has more control.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'm requesting a trade even though I have a no trade clause, but that's just because I want to know where I'm trading.
Send you to Jacksonville.
I want to be able to approve where I'm going,
Yeah. I feel like that's going to become the norm soon. Like, everyone's going to want that. And I don't blame them because, like, I don't want you to trade me to a terrible team simply because you can get the best capital back. Like, no, I want to go to a contender. There's a lot of players that don't want to play just for money. They want to play to win championships. So,
like we were just talking about, even kind of twisting back only for a second here, DeMar DeRozan. He's in that like statement that he had. He was talking about, I made a lot of money over my NBA career. I'm just looking for a championship.
Yeah.
Well, because that's, I mean, for the most part, that's why you go into professional sports. Like, you want to attain what you've seen since you were, growing up as a fan. Like, the money is great, obviously. You're not going to turn down millions and millions of dollars. But at some point, you've earned enough that, you're set for life, basically. But that's not going to fulfill you. Like, you want to make sure you keep doing what you've always dreamt of doing.
Right.
Next here, wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. passed his physical today, and he's not going to start the season on the PUP list. He will be active. So good for him.
Just like to see the superstars healthy.
Yeah.
Regardless.
It'll be interesting too to see how that works because they did pretty well without him last year, which was a little shocking. So I mean, the Browns are a team to watch anyway, just because last year was a weird season. The fact that they went to like the AFC Championship, it was like what's happening?
Yeah.
So if they'll be able to sustain that success, and then adding Odell, it's like hopefully the chemistry is there because I know a lot of people. And Browns fans too, they haven't loved Odell being in Cleveland. So hopefully that'll work out for him because he's still a super.
It seems like there's always trade rumors still.
Yeah, and to the Patriots especially.
I know. I love it. I love it.
Been hearing that for like 6 years now.
Well, and I feel like it's probably going to die down a little bit. I mean, I think it picked up because of Cam, and then you saw the videos of them working out together.
Yeah.
But before that, it was like he was obsessed with Brady. Like I went
Exactly.
to the Browns at Patriots game in 2019, and that was the game where Odell gave Brady the goat hair shoes. So like I was like, he has to be coming now, right? Like he just gave him goat hair cleats or sneakers, whatever this is, and then it didn't happen. I'm like, okay, so it's not gonna be a conversation anymore. But no, now we see them working out with Cam, and it's like, oh, okay, we're back
Hostility.
again. Yeah, for sure. We'll see.
Washington football team agreed to a 3-year contract extension for breakout tight end Logan Thomas. So he's going to be sticking around with them. The Saints, here's a surprise signing. They signed veteran wide receiver Chris Hogan, who was, I thought we were supposed to be out playing professional lacrosse or something.
I thought
like,
so
you
too.
know what? I'm just going to come back play football again.
We were reporting on that weeks ago, like, oh, Chris Hogan's playing professional lacrosse. Nope, now he's signed with the Saints. Okay, he's back. Cool.
I was happy for him, whatever he wants to do. I liked Hogan when he was on the Patriots. I feel like he was kind of undervalued by Patriots fans. So, I mean, good for him.
A mini, or I was going to say mini Welker because that's what Edelman is.
Yeah.
But he was a mini Edelman, out there for us.
Yeah,
I love
and he
it.
loved New England. I mean, like he played the lacrosse team he played on was for New England. So I mean, he kept referring to it as home. So I'm like,
Yes.
come home, Chris. Why don't you come back?
Speaking of the Saints, New Orleans Saints and Caesars Entertainment announced a 20-year exclusive naming rights partnership that rebrands the New Orleans downtown stadium as Caesars Superdome.
20 years. That's insane.
20 years.
I saw that news, but didn't realize it was 20 years. I don't know if has that ever happened like that long?
I mean, I don't know.
Staples Center
but now
or something.
It's not the Mercedes-Benz Superdome anymore. It's the
That's
Caesars
fine with me because wasn't the Falcons one also like the Mercedes something? And it was very confusing. I'm like, how is this happening? Like
that's like
that might be why they did it too. Maybe, who knows?
Twisted back to the NBA again. I remember like in the finals with the Heat and the Mavs, both of their stadiums are American Airlines arenas. So like I remember it being like a topic in the news. American Airlines was making bank off of that finals because
seriously, tons of promo. That's crazy.
Last couple things here. The Bears signed former Steelers and Lions tight end Jesse James.
Oh, great!
He found a home with the Bears.
Still wasn't a touchdown.
Still wasn't
exactly.
The Chicago Bears have traded wide receiver Anthony Miller to the Texans. That happened the other day.
And then they signed someone today. I don't know who, but somebody.
Yeah, I forget who that was.
Oh, another receiver, but.
And the Dallas Cowboys signed Indianapolis Colts first round pick Malik Hooker to a contract today as well. I mean, that could be a nice pickup for them if he can stay healthy. He's had a lot of injury issues past couple seasons.
Yeah, and I think the Cowboys, you said Cowboys, right? I want to make sure.
Yeah, it was the Cowboys. Yep.
I feel like they have a good chance at being pretty good this year. I mean, last season, didn't the Washington football team win the division at like 7-9? So like that division's like wide open for them. So I feel like getting back a healthy Dak
Prescott,
and hopefully a healthy Zeke because he wasn't himself last year either, and then improving their defense. Hopefully, I mean for their sake that they'll be better, especially with their coach. I mean he's a legendary coach. There's no reason for Mike McCarthy to be doing so badly.
Yeah.
In Dallas so far. I mean,
other than playoffs 2 years in a row. It's not.
I mean, other than Dak getting injured, the huge thing was they had literally probably one of the worst defenses in the past who knows how long. Like it was historically bad last year.
Yeah, and Zeke was a fumble machine.
Yeah.
It was very unheard of with him. So that was just like another, like a Patriots situation where it was just like nothing was going well for them.
Right.
Like if they had a healthy team and not Andy Dalton, then they would have probably been a lot better.
But that's the last bit of like NFL like news around the league. I do have some like bias bubble stuff for like Eagles and Patriots. I did just have a couple things to hit on here before we get into those. I don't know if you had anything else as far as NFL news, Vern.
Nope, all good to go.
Okay. One of the big news out of college football, Texas and Oklahoma are eyeing the SEC.
Yes.
Big 12 powerhouses have reached out about joining the conference. And apparently, prominent Big 12 source tells the American Statesman that the Texas and the other team move to the SEC is almost done. Like it's almost been agreed upon. So
I saw
it looked like they're moving
today saying that it will be final by 2025 or something like
wow.
that. So
Jeez.
I didn't realize that it was going to take that long. I might have misread that, but I saw something saying that they fully expect it to be completely final by 2025.
Yeah. And then just some other little bits of news around the different leagues. The Cleveland MLB team changed its name to the Guardians. It's not Cleveland Indians anymore. They've changed the name. And I guess the Guardians has an actual city basis because there's actual guardians that surround the bridges there in Cleveland.
That makes sense.
So there's actual reason for the name as well. It's not like they just threw a name out.
Okay.
That's cooler because I follow a few Browns fans and there was a mixed reaction about the name, but I feel like if there's an actual basis to what it is, and that's kind of
yeah,
cool.
It seems like the people from Cleveland love the name. I don't know if the actual fans outside understand, but yeah. Now for some hockey news, some stuff happened here with some big players. Montreal Canadiens' Mark Bergevin told reporters this morning that Shea Weber will miss all of next season and is likely to retire due to several accumulated injuries.
Damn.
So I mean, it looked like he was going to miss all next season. Now he's just like, you know what, just going to call it a career.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. And Marc-Andre Fleury, the starting goalie for the Vegas Golden Knights, who won 3 Stanley Cups. He won most of them with Pittsburgh. He was traded today for pretty much nothing. And I mean, his fans, and he found out on Twitter, apparently. They didn't even let him know. Vegas Golden Knights fans are pissed. Even Pittsburgh fans are pissed because they're just treating this
you disrespected our man.
Great goalie that's been in the league for years. He's a champion, and they're just trade him for nothing. Don't even let him know. So I mean, that
is messed up.
That's
the worst. It feels like that happens way too often too. Like, I found out from Twitter or Instagram and it's gross. Like, I mean, like I get, they look at it from a business perspective. So like they don't really look at them as like human beings. It's like you're a piece of something that I need to be successful, but at least have the decency to send a text.
Right, like before it goes on Twitter or something.
Yeah, because it affects that person's life. Like you're saying, I'm not on this team. You have to move and like move your family. Like,
that's a big life.
At least Belichick lets them know when they're cut, even if he has to call them on Christmas Day. He's like, I'm sorry, man. I know what are you doing? You have dinner with your family right now. Yeah. Don't come into work tomorrow.
Good, you're sitting down.
It's good you're sitting down.
But yeah, he was traded to the Chicago Blackhawks. They traded for him.
Okay.
But other than that, the only other news I have here is the Olympics. As of right now, USA has 25 medals. They got 9 gold, 8 silver, and 8 bronze as of right now.
Okay. Is that good for first?
Yes, we're number 1 in medals as of right now. China's number 2 with 21 total medals, and then Japan is 3 with 18.
Okay, gotcha.
So we have a decent lead.
Yeah, we got a 4-medal lead. I don't know what's been happening as of tonight. I got these stats like couple hours ago, so I don't know if anything's happened since then. But that's all the actual news that I have that's not within our bias teams. So we can kind of head right into the bias bubble. Now, I usually give it to Vern here, so I mean since you guys both have the same team, you can talk about all the Patriots you want. Unless you have some Lakers stuff.
I'll start with the Lakers just to get it out of the way. Lakers have the 22nd pick in the draft coming up here. Yeah. And there's a lot of talk about them moving down to kind of acquire multiple, for either 1 or 2 second-round picks, trying to just build a little bit more depth there with some young players. So I don't expect us to really do much of the draft as far as that first round goes. Like I said, even trading down. Yeah. We already talked about this a little bit. They're offering KCP and Kuzma and a bunch of packages right now, so who knows what's going to happen other than the fact that they will not be returning to the Lakers. Woj he dropped it's not really a Woj bomb, but apparently he believes that Dennis Schroeder will be back with the Lakers. And then even tonight I saw a report that was saying that they were closing in on a deal for $120 million over 4 years.
This is where one of the few times where your bias bubble intersects with mine. because I saw that the Lakers were offering him a deal, and then I saw that the Bulls are willing to, like, the Lakers are going to offer him a 4-year deal. The Bulls are going to offer him a 5-year deal
Yes.
with like a couple more million.
So-
I'm like, no, I do not want Dennis Schroeder on the
That's-
Bulls.
That's
No.
what we're teetering on right now. I saw that the Bulls were involved as well, but
I don't
so
want
that's the latest on Schroeder. I know we already talked about this. Like, I don't really think he should be back. Like, he'll be all right, but I think we can get a better guard. You know, I really do. So
yeah.
it is what it is there. But apparently, Buddy Hield has been in talks for Kuzma and a pick or something as far
did
as
see
trades.
that, yeah.
Love to have Buddy Hield. I remember him coming out of college, them comparing him to Kobe as far as what he looked like. I know he's years into it now. He's not Kobe, obviously, but I always remember that. So Buddy Hield's got that like in the back of my mind, like,
Yeah.
hey, they compared him to Kobe.
All right.
And then the other two things here we already talked about. I had DeMar DeRozan could end up signing with LA potentially, but it would have to be in free agency, and he would have to take a massive pay cut for that to happen because they don't have the money for that. And several teams are interested in Kuzma. So that's pretty much all I had for the Lakers there. But as far as the Patriots, okay, like I said, the first practice Wednesday, the 28th of July will be when that is here. We are starting the season with Cowboy and Trent Brown on the PUP list. There's I think like 8 other players as well, but these two can practice at any time. It's just strictly because of last season with them playing on different teams or something like that. I didn't read too much into it there, but I saw that they could return to practice at any time there.
Okay.
Thank goodness.
I know, right?
I feel like that was one of the only times where like Patriots fans were united as one when Trent Brown was announced as coming back to the Patriots. Like I feel like every Patriots fan was excited about that. Like you couldn't find an argument. It was just like, yeah, we love this giant of a man. We're just excited to have.
And then
him
you went
back.
and brought Kyle Van Noy back too.
And that one is when I was kind of like, at first, because, you know, he talked a little bad about the Patriots when he went to the Dolphins. So I was like, you're on my list, Kyle. Like, I don't like you. And then he came back, and then I was like, okay, I'm okay with you. Like, I'm fine again. Like, we remember the good times we had with you, so I'm cool with you again.
Exactly. Like, as long as he comes back and does the same thing, like same production. Obviously, I know it's 2 years removed from last time he put a Patriots jersey on, but I would love to see it. I was bummed when he left, the same as I was bummed when Chandler Jones ended up leaving. So happy about that.
Pairing him back up with like a more like, I think he's like slimmed down Hightower. I'm excited.
I know.
Yeah. And a year off to recover his body too. Like, come on.
Right. They're talking about Hightower is the single biggest addition to our defense, and he's just a returning player. Yeah,
it's crazy though, because like watching games last year, it's like, no disrespect to Winovich or Uche or whatever, because I think they have the potential, especially Uche, to be good. But there were several times in games where you were like, Hightower would have done that. We would have been fine if Dante was here, but. So now I'm like thankful that we won't have to have that concern again this year. I'm so excited that he's back.
And like you said, fresh, like a year off.
Yes. Yeah, and that's the thing I think that people didn't even realize. Like, yeah, I think, you know, it depends on the person, of course. Missing a year can be bad. But it's beneficial that he sat out and like had a baby and just had like family time. Like it wasn't an injury. So he was able to do whatever he wanted, had that chill time, and now he's able to come back and he's healthy and you know, he looks great. So I'm excited. Yeah,
exactly. Me too. And like they're saying, that's the biggest addition. That's probably my favorite addition. Just getting Hightower back. Like I know we got all these free agents, but I'm glad we got 5-4 back. You know, so
me
and
too.
Then Bill Belichick changed his tune a little bit since April on the whole QB situation. It's not crazy, but back in April he said Cam is our QB, and now he's saying we got a clean slate. You know, as far as like what's going on, and we're gonna see.
Must have been a little bit impressed with Mac, unless he's just doing his Belichick thing.
He's just doing his Belichick thing.
Yeah.
Wait until like the Saturday or Friday before week 1. Be like, yeah, this is our starting quarterback now.
Like he ain't talking about N'Keal Harry, he ain't talking about Gilmore, and he's telling you got a clean slate as far as QB goes. So like he's in mid-season form already. You know.
Yeah.
So.
And I feel like it's just the most fair thing to do for Mac, I guess. Like just to not like completely eliminate him, because it's, I mean, I believe in all possibilities, even if I don't think it's going to happen. But it's completely possible that Mac is going to come in and just blow Cam out of the water. And so it'd be silly for Belichick on day one to be like, oh, yeah, Cam's our quarterback. And then you see Mac and it's like, oh, never mind. Just kidding. Like what I said a week ago. So, I mean, I'm sure Cam's going to be the quarterback. It would make no sense. But yeah, this is very Belichickian.
I wanted to ask your opinion on like when and if you think Mac's going to start for the Patriots.
I don't think he's going to this year unless we No, I don't think so. I mean, Belichick's not known for starting a rookie quarterback anyway. I mean, like he was in love with Jimmy Garoppolo and we never saw him until we had to.
Same with Brady until we had to.
Yeah. Know. So, and I think that, Mac isn't like super experienced. I mean, this is like, he's a rookie. Like this is a lot to be coming into. Like he has the familiarity with it because of the connection with Saban and Belichick and whatever. But
that's what I was thinking.
I feel like as far as trying to be the most successful that you can be, you have to go with Cam. Like he's the experienced veteran that you had last year. You brought in a lot of pieces that complement the type of play that he has. So I feel if you're really trying to go for it this season, which based off of the free agency pickups, it looks like he's going for a Super Bowl this year. It would be kind of silly to just have Cam sit on the bench. Like
exactly.
I'd say
just to give the rookie a shot,
Right. Yeah. And I mean, unless they get to the playoffs and somehow win the Super Bowl this year, I would imagine that Cam's probably not going to be re-signed next year unless, they really still don't like what they see in Mac and think he needs to develop more. Because they could probably get Cam back next year for still pretty cheap. I would imagine Mac won't start until at least next year. And that would be still kind of early, but that's my guess.
Yeah. The only other thing I can really think is if Cam balls out for you guys this year.
Yeah.
And then like he wants to go try to get some money or try to be a starter somewhere else.
Yeah. And it's possible. I mean, I think that it would be a little bit difficult. Like, I don't know how many teams would actually be super interested just because then you see last year. And then if he like just kills it this year, it's like, okay, well, which Cam are we going to get?
Exactly.
And are you this great Cam because you're in this system with Belichick and these players, or like, how are you like that in general? Yeah. And it might not be a risk that teams are willing to take.
Yeah.
Right.
So we'll see.
Completely agree. I did have just one more thing here as far as like just things I jotted down. Tracy Soleimani, I think I'm saying her last name right, will be the first woman inducted to the Patriots Hall of Fame.
Awesome.
It was the cheerleading director for years now. Apparently she's been with the team for 32 years though. So
wow.
Major piece. I saw an interview where Robert Kraft was saying she was one of the first the first staff members that he hired when he purchased the team. She unfortunately passed away in 2020, so it'll be like posthumous induction here, but she is going to be the first woman inducted in the Patriots Hall of Fame, and I thought that was pretty cool as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was really happy to see that. And that's the type of thing that I like Kraft for. Like he just seems like a genuinely nice guy. Whatever your opinion is on things that he has done extracurricularly, I feel like he seems like a genuine, like loyal dude to the people that work with him or work under him, whatever. So that was nice. I liked that.
Right. But that's all the specific stuff that I had. Did you have anything else to add there to the Patriots bubble?
No, I feel like I've talked your guys' heads off today. So I feel like I've said everything, unless you somehow bring up something that I'm very passionate about, then I think I'm good.
Gotcha.
I do have a little bit of Bulls news here before I go into Eagles stuff. Lonzo Ball will likely sign an offer sheet with Chicago Bulls per multiple insiders around the league.
There you go.
Adrian Woj confirms the strong mutual interest between the two groups. Pelicans can match the offer sheet after trading away Eric Bledsoe and Steven Adams. In order to create money for Ball, the Bulls will have to trade either Thomas Satoransky and Thaddeus Young, which Thomas Satoransky, he's been getting a lot of interest from a lot of teams, apparently.
Okay. So it can end up working out for you.
Yeah. The only thing is, I would hate to lose Thaddeus Young, man, because he had got like the Hustle Award for in the NBA after the season. He was such a great veteran presence on the team. I would hate to see him go.
Yeah.
And another Bulls news. Apparently, the Bulls and Derrick Rose have mutual interest on rejoining. Bring Derrick Rose back. I can see him coming back as like the sixth man, like coming in. I don't see him as a starter on the Bulls. I can see him just coming off the bench. But man, if he can come back, wear that one jersey for Chicago again, I would love it.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Yeah.
And Chicago also are showing interest in DeMar DeRozan. We already talked about DeMar DeRozan a little bit.
Yep.
So is every other team probably.
Right. Exactly. And speaking of person that a lot of teams have interest in going into NFL, the ongoing story of Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
A lot of teams are interested still. The Texans have made it known that they're open to trading him now. And they're apparently looking for a combination of starting caliber players and 5 high draft picks, which is wild.
They're not getting it.
They're not getting that at all, especially
maybe,
while everything's going on still.
Before all of this was, if this never happened, then sure, someone would do that. But the negative press and who knows what's going to happen with his situation, a team's not going to want to take that in. Like, he's going to either
for him, and then he's either on the exempt list or who knows, goes to jail, not going to play in the NFL ever again.
Exactly.
And I think he's gonna stay in Houston. He's either going to continue playing or they're not going to play him. Like, he'll be on the exempt list, like you said. But I don't see teams that, like, there were so many teams scrambling to like get their names out there as being interested before all of this happened. I don't see that happening now. Like,
as of right now, the Panthers, the Dolphins, and the Eagles are still.
Panthers is ridiculous.
They're waiting on the situation still. Yeah, especially after trading for Darnold,
Yeah, I mean, I would choose Deshaun over Sam Darnold, but not under this current situation.
Yeah, I think they're saying that because the Panthers, the Dolphins, and the Eagles have a lot of draft capital and a lot of players they can probably get rid of as well. But apparently the Dolphins and the Eagles have been the more consistent with, kind of badgering the Texans on what their prices and everything, which, I mean, as a fan, I don't want him anywhere near the team until what's going on is settled or who knows what's going on. Because, I mean, I am fully fine with rolling with Jalen Hurts this year.
What we were saying.
See what happens next year,
And the Dolphins is so weird to me because, like, it's so very up and down with how they feel about Tua.
Yeah.
It's like there were rumors about them trading up in the draft to get a quarterback. And I'm like, but why? Like, you literally just drafted Tua and you threw him into a bad situation last year. Like, there was not a lot of ways for him to be successful. And like, so you're going to give him one shot. And now
when he was having growing pains, you pull him out of the game from Fitzpatrick.
Yeah. So it's like,
I don't let someone work through that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, so it doesn't make any sense to me. And Deshaun Watson, if they wanted to get him, he's still young enough that he can be a starter for you for like 10 years. So there's no reason to draft a quarterback as high as you did with Tua and then give up a ton to get Deshaun, unless they somehow package Tua in to give them
that seems like the general consensus, as if the Eagles trade for him or Dolphins, Tua would be going and Hurts would probably be going.
Just to make it a little cheaper.
Yeah.
Well, and that's just crazy. Like,
I
mean, I get it. Like, Deshaun as a player is fantastic, but then it's like you wasted first round draft picks on these guys that you believed in, and then you didn't give them much of a chance. And now you're just like, okay.
Yeah. And it would make more sense after this season, because then you would get a full year with Hurts or Tua, see what they're actually made of. If you're not happy, then go all in on Deshaun. If everything, is taken care of by then, who knows? But there's no reason why you shouldn't wait a year to see what happens. There's nothing holding back.
Everyone's just so much about of like, what have you done for me lately? And it's like, it doesn't matter how long have you they've been around, and it's like, we want to win and we want to win now. And I get it. The Dolphins, especially, they have a new coach or a newer coach coming from an organization that was historically unimaginably successful. So he's going to have that type of mentality, but you drafted Tua for a reason. Like, you can't forget that.
I mean, to be honest, if they were able to get Deshaun and he played, I think the Dolphins would be an amazing team. Because you have a great defense. Their offense is all set. And I mean, I think that's why they're probably all in, is like they think they're only a QB away from being contenders.
And the AFC East is creeping up to be one of the tougher divisions in the league, where, for a long time, people believed it to be one of the easier divisions, where in many years it was. but it's creeping up to be a tougher one with all
Yeah.
of these additions. And if they brought in Deshaun, like I, as a Patriots fan, would be kind of scared, honestly.
Yes.
With the exception of the Jets. Nobody worry about
Yeah.
them Jets.
We don't care about the Jets. No, never.
Other than Deshaun Watson news, I'm not going to go any farther about that. It's just other than the Eagles have interest in him. Eagles have officially signed all of their draft picks. Landon
Nice.
Dickerson, the center they picked up in the second round, was the last one. It happened right after the day after we signed Steven Nelson from Pittsburgh Steelers, who I've been raving about for
weeks.
months now, weeks, about go out and get him, Howie. We need the CB2. And he went out and did it. It seems like it's a 2.5 mil base salary with incentives up to 4.1 mil, which is cheap for what Steven Nelson can do
Right.
as a cornerback, and to have him opposite of Darius Slay, man, I am feeling a lot better about this defense going into the season. And interesting enough, he took the number 3. So now we have a 1, 2, and 3 on the team with Jalen Hurts, Darius Slay, and now Steven Nelson is 1, 2, 3, which is pretty cool.
Interesting. Yeah.
I have a
And-
random thought that I want to say really quickly because it's really dumb, but I just had to say it. I knew about Darius Slay. Then I was like watching a game and I saw like a Slayton and they were like, oh, this is Darius Slayton. And I was like, did this guy change his last name to Slayton? Like, did he not like his last name being Slay because like, it's like slang right now, like Slay girl. And I was like, so confused. I had to Google it. I was like, how is this possible that these two men have the same name basically? I was so
on the
confused.
same team.
Yeah, it was like so confused, but yes. That was just my interesting fact of the day.
Other than that, that's really my last bit of news. The only other thing I have we've been talking about for weeks now as well. Zach Ertz reported to training camp today.
Apparently
Like
everything's
I said.
cool now.
Apparently everything's cool
He's
now
like, "We're
until it
okay.
isn't.
We're okay."
Until it isn't, and
That
he
seems
gets
like what
traded
it's
a
been.
week before the game 1 or something.
And it seems like everyone that had an issue in the off season, they all reported to camp today. Like it's
Yeah.
all like, oh, nothing happened. There was no
No,
Yeah,
good.
who was it from Seahawks?
Even
the
Deshaun
Seahawks,
Watson.
the safety from
Jamal Adams.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's having contract issues with them, and he still showed up to camp today. So
I'm here.
I guess they
Yeah.
just don't want to. I think it's like 40,000
Yeah,
or something.
and there's new language in the CBA where it's non-refundable $50,000 fine for missing
Yeah.
camp now.
So it's like, hell, I have my problems with you, but I won't show up. I'm
Yeah.
not paying you that money.
I'm not paying.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the last bit of news I have here
Okay.
as far
Got
as everything goes.
One more thing to do here.
Yep, one more thing, and that's the crazy sports stat fact of the podcast. Since you're a fan of Boston sports, I do have a crazy sports stat that has to do with Boston. The Boston Bruins name is misspelled on the Stanley Cup for the 1971-72 season. Instead of O's for Boston, it has Q's.
Oh my gosh.
Why would
Um,
they even do
The
that?
error was corrected in 1992 through the 93 season when they had the replica cup created. They fixed the error, but whenever that season when you won the Stanley Cup, they misspelled the Boston part whenever they etched it in.
How do you even do that?
Right.
I have no clue.
like
I
twice.
tried doing some research on it, and there's really no reason why it happened.
I feel
They
like
just
it might
said
be intentional. It was on purpose.
This guy's like, I don't like them.
It
Like,
was iconic.
It's hard to believe in, like, especially in 71 and 72. I feel like they don't have the technology where, like, nowadays you would type something in and then it would print it out. Whereas, like, you can accidentally press a Q or something and then it would print it. But I
They
feel
had
like
to
71 and
engrave that.
72, they would have to actually engrave it. So maybe someone hated Boston. You're like, I'm just going to mess this up on Stanley Cup on purpose.
Put
That's
2
crazy.
Q's. Then what are you gonna do? You
Yeah.
can't change it for 30 years.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Or like,
crazy.
yeah, at the thought, they're probably like, they're never going to see this. They're never going to change it. And then like 30 years later, they finally change it.
That guy's
Like,
like on his
we
deathbed,
remember-
like, no.
And now that person's, excited because he's a crazy stat of the day
Yeah.
in sports.
Shout out the podcast.
Exactly.
Exactly. If you're still alive, reach out to us. We want to interview you. If you're still, I want to know why you did it.
Want to know why?
I want to know why. What's the story? But that's all the news that we have this week. I want to thank our very special guest, Sarah Marshall, for joining us. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for letting me just talk for far too long.
Absolutely. It's been great having you on talking.
Yeah, it's been
Sports.
great.
Thank
Love the
you.
conversation.
Especially
Is there any
Patriots.
specific things you want to plug? Where can people reach you at?
Twitter is where I'm at like 24/7. That's smarshxo. And yeah, I think I'm still going to be doing stuff with full press coverage. So I have the link in my bio on Twitter if you want to read my articles from last year. And then, like we said at the top of the show, hopefully making my own YouTube page. So once I do that, I'll tweet it out. Like that information will be out there. So fingers
Awesome.
crossed.
Yeah,
Awesome.
so everybody go out and make sure you follow on Twitter and then stay tuned for that YouTube channel that you're going to have created.
And I'll have the links in the bio as well,
Thank you.
linking
Yeah.
straight to
Yeah.
your Twitter there. So
Absolutely. But until then, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. Make sure to go follow us on Squad Pod Sports on Twitter. And thank you once again for joining us this week. It was awesome talking
Thank
sports
you.
with you.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I'll be back anytime if you want me. So
Definitely, we
Awesome.
would love to have you back. And until next week, we'll see everybody later.
peace out.
Pod.